All right, what's up, everybody? This is a kind of last second stream I put together. Really, the whole point is we want to test streaming at the same time to both Twitch and YouTube just to see how the whole thing works. And it is working. We are live on both Twitch and YouTube right now. Although something weird happened with YouTube where we had an event scheduled, and then when we started the stream, it like bypassed the event and started a whole separate thing. It's really weird. I don't know what's up with that, but that seems like a detail. Generally speaking, it seems to be working. Super chats are working, and Twitch Prime subscriptions are working simultaneously. So this is the first time we've done it. We thought last week we were thinking let's get the biggest possible audiences for the impeachment hearing streams. And to do that, we should really do Twitch and YouTube, but we didn't because it was too risky to do it for the first time when we knew there would be 6, 7, 8,000 live viewers. So I'm trying it now, and maybe this is something that we'll be able to do in the future, which is exciting and great. And I have a whole bunch of stuff to talk about, stories that we're going to be doing on tomorrow's show. There's this huge Devin Nunes story, which is actually now becoming a two-part story. Part one is that one of the guys that works with Rudy Giuliani who was arrested now says actually he can implicate Devin Nunes in the Biden fiasco. And if that's the case, then why is Devin Nunes asking questions in the impeachment inquiry hearings? He should be a witness if that's the case. And we found out that not only does he seem to be involved, it seems that you, through taxpayer money, actually paid for Devin Nunes to fly around and try to get dirt on Joe Biden. Number two, I have very interesting data that one of our viewers put together, which looked at how does polling compare to speaking time in the last Democratic debate, which is very interesting. And there's actually like a 2-layer analysis that we should be doing and looking at. And we're going to do that in a second. And then number 3, I do want to talk about this Trump interview on Fox and Friends, which was just absolutely and totally nuts. And Trump promoted it, and we're going to look at it a little bit momentarily. So, so people are asking, now that we are live on both YouTube and Twitch, what counts towards the website members? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're watching on YouTube and Twitch. Everything counts. And if you're on Twitch, you've got the Amazon Prime Twitch subs. If you're over on YouTube, we've got the super chats, which I will be looking at. And one came in already saying simply, here's my super chat. So I predict we may have a lot of audience participation here, which would be great. So we're going to start with the Devin Nunes thing and then go on from there. Let's make sure all other settings are sort of looking correct here. Yeah, I think it seems like we're working. Everything seems to be working correctly. Okay, so let's get right into it. So if you watched the impeachment hearings with me the other day, you, like me, probably noticed that Devin Nunes, as the ranking member, got a lot of speaking time. Adam Schiff would make an opening statement, and then Devin Nunes would get to speak. And at the end, before the closing statement that Adam Schiff made, Devin Nunes would get a chance to make a statement. This is because Devin Nunes is the ranking member, basically the sort of like second in command, I guess you would say, on the House Intelligence panel. So you heard him say a lot of really dumb things like apologizing to the witnesses about ratings are down for this stream, the impeachment hearing stream or whatever. And of course, that was a weird thing to tell the witnesses because they're just there to answer questions and tell the truth and not perjure themselves. He made the case that this is all bogus, that the real thing we need to be looking at is Joe Biden and Hunter Biden and whatever else. Turns out that Devin Nunes was meeting with Ukrainians looking for Biden dirt. This is what we have now learned. The lawyer for an indicted associate of Rudy Giuliani said his client is willing to tell Congress that Congressman Devin Nunes of California met with a former Ukrainian prosecutor, and not just any, we'll get to that, last year to discuss investigating former Vice President Joe Biden and his son Hunter Biden. Joseph Bondy represents Lev Parnas, who was indicted last month on campaign finance charges, and claims his client heard directly from the former Ukrainian official about his meeting in Vienna with Nunes, who has become a key Trump defender in the impeachment inquiry. Mr. Parnas learned from former Ukrainian Prosecutor General Viktor Shokin that Nunes met with Shokin in Vienna last December. This guy Shokin is at the center of a lot of this. Shokin was fired from his post as prosecutor in 2016 after a bunch of Western leaders, including Biden, expressed concern that he wasn't pursuing corruption cases. Now, the theory, which I've widely debunked, is that the rightists, or the Trumpists, are putting together. Trump and Nunes say Biden wanted Shokin to be removed to protect his son, Hunter Biden. There is no evidence of that at this point in time. So this is bad enough, okay? If this is true, you have a guy in Devin Nunes who is participating significantly in the impeachment inquiry hearings when actually he is someone who should arguably be a witness because he is part of the attempted smear campaign on Joe Biden, and he gets to sit up there and run interference for Trump. He is arguably a co-conspirator, and he's involved as a high-ranking person on the hearings, which is absolutely and totally stunning. But it gets worse, and I see that we've got super chats on YouTube, and we also have Twitch Prime subscriptions to thank over on Twitch Prime, and I will get on Twitch. I will get to that. It's not just that Devin Nunes was doing this and has no serious, credible reason to stay on the impeachment inquiry hearings if they continue, which Adam Schiff says they will. It appears as though Devin Nunes was doing this on taxpayer money, which makes this closer to he should simply resign rather than he just shouldn't be on these panels. Congressman Devin Nunes, the ranking Republican member on the House Intelligence Committee, spent nearly $57,000 on a trip to Europe for him and his staff to allegedly investigate former Vice President Joe Biden. The figures seem to confirm allegations made by Lev Parnas, a Ukrainian-born American who worked as a fixer for Rudy before being indicted. Parnas said he met Nunes in a secretive trip to Vienna, Austria. My guess is if he is making this allegation, this assertion, my guess is Parnas can probably prove it, between November and December 2018 and put him in touch with former Ukrainian Prosecutor General Viktor Shokin, the lawyer who was ousted from his position in 2016 after, as I already told you, Western leaders, including Biden, said he was not doing enough to combat corruption. Reports filed with the Office for the Clerk show that Nunes claimed expenses for a 4-day trip to Europe at the time in question between November 30 and December 3. So as usual, consider how this has all gone. You have the William Taylor testimony. And in that testimony, he says, one of my staffers overheard a phone call between Trump and Sondland. And of course, immediately the Trumpists say there's no evidence of that. That's not true. That's just hearsay. And then, of course, we hear from David Hale, who was the witness to that phone call, and that is confirmed. Yesterday, the day before yesterday, we hear allegations that Devin Nunes is up to his neck in the Joe Biden smearing while simultaneously participating in the hearings. And they say, oh, it's just an allegation. We don't know if that's true. And then it just so happens that financial records are found that match up with this exactly. And then you see, this is not super visible. I apologize. In any case, the records are there and it all seems to match up perfectly. Every single one of these stories that the Trumpists try to get a head out of and say, no, there's nothing going on, then are confirmed, then are corroborated. How deep does it go? Probably very, very deep. And we are going to, at some point, I don't know when, at some point we are going to find out a lot about it. Okay, we are live on both Twitch and YouTube. This is the first time we've been trying this. So first, let me thank some people over on Twitch for subscribing with Twitch Prime, which is free if you have Amazon Prime. Thanks to Mr. Nanopod, Anarius, Illyria 4, Red Fan Game, Path of Thera, Fiscal Diablo, and Dayhooker. Thank you so much. Let me also now talk about some of the super chats that have been coming in over on the YouTube side. This is we've never done this before. It is interesting, and it seems to be working, at least for now. Baba Ganoush says, you do more good than you know. John R. says, Republicans still on Russia propaganda as Trump's defense. Yeah, listen, it's you've got to get out of that paradigm because it'll rot your brain. Harvey Willing says, wrapping up the inquiry prematurely would be a historic mistake. They're starting to turn up the heat. I agree. They are desperate now to say the hearings were a dud. and get this over with. And I think it would be a mistake to end it anytime soon. There are so many witnesses still that should be called. Mike Cooper says, it's possible the dam will break, right? Listen, Mike, I hope so, but I took a call the other day. In fact, I might play it for you in a bit. Yeah, let me actually, I'm just going to take note of where that, let's see if I can find that call. Let's see. When implodes spectacularly. There's a call that I think would be interesting for us to listen to in a bit. Yeah. In fact, we could maybe check it out just momentarily. This call was a perfect example of why this may not go anywhere no matter what happens, because they do not care about what the facts are. Take a listen to this. Is from the show last week. Take a listen. At 617-830-4750, starting with Tim. Tim, back in January, I guess was the last time we heard from you, and you were pretty angry from what I have in my notes when we spoke back in January. Does that sound right?
I don't know if I was angry. I know we're talking back and forth about healthcare,
okay,
and how it was going to be paid for with $52 trillion.
Right. And I hate to interrupt already, but so what's important here is I start pointing out what he's doing as he's doing it, but I want you to prepare you for it so that you watch for it. Pay attention to how each topic that he tries to go to fails. And then he says, well, that doesn't even really matter. What about this other thing? Even though it's his topics that are being brought up. Okay, this is moving the goalpost. It's circular reasoning. It's fact-free reasoning. It's everything. This is everything.
Per year.
Sure.
I don't know how, with even the statistics you provided me, I don't even know how it would still be paid for. But, regardless, I was seeing that you were doing a bunch of live streams on the impeachment hearings. And I wanted to see, what's your takeaway from what's going on, and what do you think the outcome for Democrats would be, positive or negative?
Well, I've got a big story coming out on this because on the one hand, you've had, there have been some people testifying who have not really made a big impact, but certainly Gordon Sondland has made it clear that everybody knew what was going on. Rudy Giuliani knew, Mike Pompeo knew, Mike Pence knew, Donald Trump knew, everybody knew about the extortion, bribery, quid pro quo. That should be extremely damaging. Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman had very devastating testimony. But I'll be honest with you, Tim. I said, if Democrats can't turn this into something, it will be very embarrassing because they're monopolizing dozens of hours of TV time across all networks. It is, even in its most salacious moments, you've still got to pay really close attention for hours at a time to understand what went on. And I don't know if Democrats are going to be able to turn this into something.
And to add on what you just said, I think it's also costing the taxpayers tens of thousands of dollars to hold these circus hearings to begin with. And when it comes to actually breaking the law, there hasn't been substantial evidence of anything. That's why even you said they don't have anything.
Well, no, I didn't. I certainly never said they don't have anything. What I said is that, so there's a couple different things. These are not criminal. So here's where it starts falling apart. Criminal proceedings, impeachment proceedings are not criminal. So we can talk about criminal, but that's actually, that's a totally separate issue altogether. It relates to the Justice Department. Two different things. We don't want to mix them up. But I certainly never said they don't have anything. What I said is, as devastating as what they have is, I still am unsure. I mean, listen, I don't see impeachment happening. Hopefully this will fire people up enough that they vote Trump out in November of 2020. That's for me the most likely positive outcome that I can imagine.
Well, isn't the impeachment hearings in and of itself high crimes and misdemeanors, according, based on the president's actions?
So what's important to understand about high crimes means the person doing it, not what the crime is. So there's a lot of misunderstanding about what that even means. But we're talking, again, you can be impeached not because you committed a felony, for example, but because what you did abdicated the morality. You abdicated the role of the president. You gave up sovereignty to a foreign country. There are things that may or may not be crimes that are ever prosecuted. They can still be impeachable. So it's important not to confuse criminal proceedings with impeachment proceedings. This also relates to due process. A lot of the conversations happening about due process. So now he's going to start going off the rails. What kind of a proceeding this is. But it sounds like you're watching the streams, and that's good. At least people are paying attention.
Yeah, I mean, I've been following this pretty closely, and I follow this regularly,
Good.
and I see that there just seems to be hearsay from what I see on my end from secondhand conversations.
No, so Gordon
Quote,
Sondland
fights here and there.
described his own conversation. So this is important. He says he doesn't buy anything because it's all hearsay. Now I explain to him it's not the case, and watch what he does. Gordon Sondland gave all firsthand testimony. So I don't know, maybe you're defining hearsay. That's a Republican talking point, that there's only hearsay. Well, hold on. That's a different question.
What did that
you
give the
first said
Democrats?
that there's only hearsay. I pointed out that there isn't, and now you say, well, who cares?
No. From the first two proceedings that we had, there was all hearsay. Now we're having it directly from the horse's mouth, but that's still not giving Democrats anything to work with, as you said previously.
Whether they have something to work, I'm agreeing with you in a sense, but the reason that they may not have anything to work with is that you have 62% of Trumpists who said, I don't care what he ever does, I will never abandon him. And when you're dealing with people like that, he could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and it wouldn't matter. So I think it's important to distinguish between there is nothing versus Republicans won't care. And that's the situation that we have, Tim.
Well, the transcript is out. So
now he moved to a new thing, which is also untrue.
The entire transcript of the call is out. The American people have read the transcript.
I haven't seen that. Who released that? Who released the full transcript?
Trump released the full transcript.
No, that was so a lot of the people, and we'll continue this in a second. I know that a lot of the people that are watching me right now, you guys may not even pay that close attention to politics. You pay some attention, I'm guessing, because you're here. Most of you, I would guess, know that the transcript was never released. What Donald Trump released was a 30-minute phone call. They took what is about, by my reading, 6 or 7 minutes of the call. It's a partial transcript. It's a fraction of the total call. Trump keeps calling it a transcript because he wants us to think that what he released is everything, but it's not. And I think most people in my universe know that. And if you don't, then it's good for you to tell me that, because then I understand that I shouldn't assume that you know that. This guy seems to have fallen for it. He seems to literally think that the 30-minute transcript is out when it's not. It's a 30-minute phone call. No, hold on. Trump released a transcript that was about 6 or 7 minutes of a 30-minute phone call. Unless it happened in the last 5 minutes, Trump has not released the full transcript. See, this is the problem,
like
Tim.
I said, David,
people seem to be confused. The full transcript was never.
What were you saying?
So you said the full transcript has been released. It hasn't, and now you're just saying there is nothing. You're doing circular arguments, none of them based on fact. Every fact you assert is wrong, and then you move on to something else, Tim.
The fact is there's no substantial evidence for impeachment, and you know this, and you know.
So now he's back to something else. So anyway, I think the reason we looked at that is that someone, I think via Super Chat, said, is the dam going to break? And it's like, how could the dam ever break with a guy like that, right? I mean, it's just not going to happen. And that's why I think we have to be careful. But, it's like, we have to just do the right thing. Clearly, we now have the impeachment hearings where you had Gordon Sondland say there was a quid pro quo. Then Trump comes out and says, no, I called him and I literally said, I don't want a quid pro quo. Any normal person would say, why are you even talking about a quid pro quo if there's no quid pro quo? We know why now. And on and on and on. So it's, I don't know that we will ever convince them, but if we can do enough damage where Trump just loses in November 2020, I think that's the advantage. I don't know if that's happening, and I'll have a story about that tomorrow. Okay, let me go through Super Chats and then Twitch messages. We are live on both Twitch and YouTube. We've never done this before. I know that if I become a Twitch partner, I can't do this, but I'm not a Twitch partner, so that's okay. We're doing it. We're live on both. Ms. M. Dip sent a 4,000 Colombian peso super chat. I think that's $1. Who says, wait, there's a video. Someone catch me up, please. Yes, there's video of Trump. We will get to that momentarily. Kara Borizin says, sadly, I doubt this will change anything. No matter what he does, Trump cultists will spin it into him being some sort of mystical genius. Yeah, I basically agree with you. And also Kel F says, why do these people lie to themselves? I don't know that this guy was lying to himself. I don't know that he was lying to himself. I think that he just believes a lot of the stuff that has been floated around. Thanks over on the Twitch side to Mowgli for subscribing with Twitch Prime, to Fusion916, to POTUS1, Brayty, Walcor, Disparagus, and King Gumto. This is kind of a funny idea that some people had about what we should do. So you know how whenever we do these streams, we sometimes have like a target of website members. Like right now it's 15, and then we open up the phone lines. People both on Twitch and on YouTube are suggesting that we do a contest between Twitch and YouTube. Everything counts to the 15, but we see whether people are using the YouTube or the Twitch code. And I think we actually have the perfect codes to do this. If you're watching on YouTube and you want to grab a membership, and if we get to 15 up there, we'll open up the phone lines. Use the code YouTube50. Okay, that saves you 50%. The code is YouTube50. It works on any membership. If you're watching on Twitch, use the code half19. Both of them save you 50%. There's no difference. We'll just track whether we get more on Twitch or on YouTube. And maybe the winner, I will do, the next stream will be only on the one that wins. Does that make sense? Is that a good idea? I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. We'll try it out. Okay, let's continue. Am I missing anything else? I want to make sure. Bridget Lee Harding wants to know if the coupon codes work at Olive Garden. I wouldn't know because I've never been. But that's no. I did actually go to Olive Garden. When was it? I think it was about 15 years ago. Yeah, some guy I know, it was his birthday, and he insisted on going to Olive Garden, and it was a difficult experience for sure. But I did it. I survived, and I think that's the most exciting thing. Okay, this is very, very interesting. We have a variety of different people who work in data science and all sorts of different fields. We have medical professionals in the David Pakman Show audience. We have people from almost airline pilots and all sorts of stuff. One of the things that I received over the weekend is this chart. Oh, and actually, Yang is not visible, and Yang is a key part of this chart. This chart graphs screen time during the recent screen time as measured by CNN from the recent MSNBC debate, and polling average for the candidates. Okay, this is so important, and we're going to talk about this on the broadcast show tomorrow. So, if you watched the debate on MSNBC last week, you probably noticed that not every candidate got the same amount of speaking time. That wasn't difficult to tell. And one of the things that I've been saying is I think that there are way too many people on the stage. There should be stricter requirements, and we should have way fewer candidates. And really, at this point, Booker, Harris, Harris maybe. Booker, Klobuchar, Gabbard, Steyer, and Yang probably shouldn't be participating in the debates anymore, just based on the numbers, okay? And I know people will argue, if you like Tulsi, you'll say she should be there. If you like Yang, you'll say he should be there. Forget it. That's not the argument, okay? I believe there should be fewer candidates on stage. But if you're going to have this number of candidates on stage, if they made it, if the requirements allowed them to get in, they should probably get roughly the same amount of time, right? Because it's not if you make the debate, then you get to talk based on your polling. It should be if you made the debate, you're a participant fully, right? So that's been what I've been saying for a while. However, one could make the argument that it makes sense that the candidates get to speak in proportion to how they're polling. What would the argument? I'm not making this argument, but somebody could make this argument and say, listen, Biden, Sanders, and Warren are the front runners. They should get the most time because it's more likely that they'll win. This is not my argument, okay? I want to be clear. I think they should get equal time, but there should be fewer people on stage. So if you believe that they should get they should get time proportionate to polling, the next question is, did they? Did it simply become an issue of if you're polling better, you get more time? And the answer is, in a sense, yes, but there were some people who got way more screen time than their polling would dictate, and some people who got way less screen time than their polling would dictate. And what this graph is effectively, to what degree did screen time separate from the expectation based on the polling. And what you saw is, for example, Bernie Sanders basically got the screen time that matches his polling. Okay. Joe Biden got relatively close to the screen time that matches how well he's polling. He actually was below. If it went by polling, he should have had a little more screen time or talk time. But honestly, it's probably better for Joe Biden to talk less, because when he talks, it's a disaster. Elizabeth Warren, maybe not surprisingly, the debate was on MSNBC. MSNBC has been relatively friendly to Elizabeth Warren. Warren got some more time than polling would dictate. But here's where it gets really, really interesting. Tulsi Gabbard, Tom Steyer, and by the biggest margin, Andrew Yang, got way less screen time, or let's say Tulsi by about the same amount as Biden, but Steyer and Yang got significantly less screen time than their polling would suggest. Based on Andrew Yang's polling, which I guess is right around 2.5, he should have had more screen time than he got. Steyer is polling less, and he got more screen time, so he's closer to the line. So they you could say, got screwed if you subscribe to this. You get talk time based on what you're polling. But what's very interesting is that Pete Buttigieg, by far, if you look at the distance from the line, Pete Buttigieg got the most screen time relative to what he is polling. And that's not hugely surprising, because he has become a guy that the establishment has sort of been getting behind, and I think that it's I'm not a Pete Buttigieg guy, and he got the biggest, what I would call an artificial boost beyond what his polling suggests. Then you have this cluster of 3 establishment candidates who also got more time than their polling would dictate: Cory Booker, Kamala Harris, and Amy Klobuchar. They are not polling well. And based on the amount of talk time that they got, they were given a bonus talk time relative to what you would expect based on how they are polling. So this is interesting in a number of different ways. I reject that there should even be, if you make the stage, you should just get equal talk time. But if you believe we should hear more from candidates who are polling better, Andrew Yang by far got screwed the most. And Pete Buttigieg got the sort of biggest gift, as did Elizabeth Warren. And interestingly, the narrative has been, and I don't watch enough MSNBC to be able to say this more than anecdotally, but from what I've read, Buttigieg and Warren have been sort of the recent favorites on MSNBC. So this is very, very interesting. And I so appreciate that Dave C., one of our viewers, put this together and sent it to me. Okay, if there are questions on this, I will take questions on this. In the meantime, let me say thanks to a few more Twitch Prime subscribers. I want to say thanks to Freddie Freeloader, not a freeloader anymore, who has subscribed with Twitch Prime, Anti-Whipped2, Red Wolf 8, thanks for 2 months in a row, Fiscal Diablo, thanks for 2 months in a row. Says, my 10-month-old enjoys your show very much. That may be the youngest David Pakman Show viewer. And Gibby Gibson 79. Thank you for the Twitch Prime subscriptions. Let me also read a few of the super chats that have come in on the YouTube side. Roxy Heartline says, Trump is Skynet. He has corrupted the whole system. All right. And I guess that's it. Okay. We are also enmeshed in a YouTube versus Twitch battle right now to see who uses the YouTube code more or who uses the Twitch code more. We have Phil A. I'm going to have to keep notes about this, or maybe someone else can track it. Okay. Phil A has signed up with the YouTube code YouTube50. Thanks, Phil. I appreciate that. Skylar Gray has signed up with the YouTube code. That's 20 YouTube winning right now. John Harris has signed up with the YouTube code. That's 30 YouTube. Muffins and Vidal has signed up with the YouTube code. That's 40. Oh, Twitch is getting crushed. And Josiah Lusher has signed up with the YouTube code. So we have 5 of 15 website members. If we get to 15, I will open the phone lines, but we're also trying to make this interesting. YouTube versus Twitch, and YouTube is winning 5-0 right now. That is a concern. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. Oh, I will remind you. So the codes are, this is 2020. That's a childish code. The real codes are YouTube 50 if you're watching on YouTube. That saves you 50%. And half 19 if you're watching on Twitch. That they both save you 50%. There's no it's the same price no matter what, but very, very exciting have this battle going on. Okay, so that we talked about that. Let me do one more super chat and then we'll get to the next story. Young, Dumb, and Baroque says, I'll love to hear the Republicans' next talking point that Congressman Nunes couldn't have possibly predicted Biden's candidacy during his December meeting. Yeah, listen, they're going to come up with something. They're going to come up with something no matter what. Okay, next, let's go to this interview with Fox News. And let me see if I actually want to put a tweet up. Let's see, real Donald Trump. No, I think I actually tweeted it. Let me see if I can find this tweet. Okay, here it is. So Donald Trump, we can get away from this. Donald Trump, after a week of impeachment hearings, after 2 weeks of impeachment hearings, actually, promoted, he's going on Fox and Friends. And he did, and it went horribly wrong. And basically, there were two main things that I wanted to point out from this interview. Number one, Trump seemed very much unwell. Trump seemed he was rambling, he was incoherent, he was contradicting himself, and it was a complete and total mess. But he also seemed to blurt out for the first time that indeed the military aid to Ukraine was connected to pushing Ukraine to, quote, investigate corruption, which means smear Joe Biden. So let's just start listening to the beginning of this a little bit, and then I'll skip forward to the part about the quid pro quo. But he sounds very much off. Just listen.
States, Donald Trump calling in. Mr. Trump, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good to have you on Fox and Friends today. As you said in your tweet, another slow news week. Let's start with the fact that the story that Griff just brought us, that it sounds like a former FBI lawyer, it sounds like, was doing something with the FISA application. That person got removed.
Yeah, even Steve Doocy doesn't know what the hell is going on. He's just floating it to Trump.
And this goes to your argument that somebody at the FBI was out to get you, right?
Well, it certainly does. And they were spying on my campaign, and it went right up to the top.
That's untrue.
And everybody knows it, and now we're going to find out. You have Bull Durham, who's supposed to be the toughest. I've never met him, never spoke to him, but he's supposed to be the smartest and the best, and he works for Bill Barr, who's a great attorney general. We would maybe have ended this thing a lot sooner had he been there originally. But you have some people that are great people now and patriotic people. They love our country. This was spying on my campaign, something that has never been done in the history of our country. This was
he's lying, so that's not true.
An overthrow attempt at the presidency. They tried to overthrow the presidency. This is a disgrace. But I'm not surprised to see it. It's just starting to come up. I think this is nothing compared to what you'll see over the next couple of weeks.
These media outlets
people are sick.
These media outlets are saying that the FBI lawyer manipulated and altered key documents related to that warrant application so that they could get permission to surveil Carter Page. He was on with Maria, Mornings with Maria, a few minutes ago, and he says it's a cover-up. Listen.
They have just been putting false information out there to the media, the Democrats.
Oh, I hung out with Carter Page at Politicon last year, and that is a whole, I mean, I don't want to get derailed now, but maybe if the stream goes long enough, I'll talk about Carter Page a little.
And their allies in Washington in the media, constantly pushing lies after lies. And then finally, this gets picked up by a court. It gets picked up by the Comey-McCabe FBI, and they got a warrant, a fraudulent warrant, I believe, to spy on myself as a way of getting into the Trump campaign. There has been a continued cover-up to this very day. We still don't have the truth, but hopefully we'll get that soon.
How does this compare with what happened with that Ukraine conversation? Democrats want to impeach you because of that conversation.
So now he starts rambling.
This looks pretty bad.
So my conversation was a perfect conversation. The Ukrainian president said, what are they talking about? They must think we're nuts in this country.
By the way, anybody else, you can hear a Sharpie in the background. You can hear there's a Sharpie noise that we can identify as a Sharpie noise.
And this conversation was flawless. It was appropriate. It was perfect. It was nice. It was everything. And they even said that. They came out and said it. No, compare that, and they try and impeach. And by the way, they've looked like fools over the last 5 days. These interviews have been, and these were their witnesses. This was the best they've got.
So that's a lie. In fact, there were a number of witnesses that could potentially be even more damaging, which Republicans and the White House have been blocking. So that's another lie. This is how. So listen, even us, right? Like you guys, me, on our first watch of this, if we're just sitting there waiting for, our car oil change to be done or whatever, and we watch this, we might have the general sense that, Trump is being hyperbolic, but it's lie after lie. Even we would have trouble keeping up with that. Do you think like your average Fox News viewer is going to even critique anything that's being said? It's just lie after lie after lie.
Adam Schiff is a sick puppy.
Yeah, let's not even get into that.
It's been incredible. Now, what you're going to see, I predict, will be perhaps the biggest scandal in the history of our country, political scandal. But I guess that's the biggest.
He may be right about that, but he's not talking about himself.
Because what's more important
What
than
are you talking about?
political
What do you mean by
when it
that?
comes to
What do you mean by that?
I think
So, and that's the other funny thing. The hosts are visibly confused by what Trump is talking
you're
about.
going to see things that are going to be incredible if it's done right. And I purposely stay out. I tell Bill Barr to handle everything. I wouldn't have to. I could get very much involved, but I purposely don't. And I haven't. And you know what? It's better that way, I guess. I don't have any obligation legally to do that, but I've let them handle it. So you have a Pfizer report coming out, which the word is, it's historic. That's what the word is. That's what I hear. And if it's historic, you're going to see something. And then
The hosts don't. The hosts want to help him. They don't know what on earth he's talking about. Look at Steve Ducey's face. I mean, okay, Ainsley Earhart always has this exact look, so we can't glean much from that. Kilmeade starts getting visibly confused.
perhaps even more importantly, you have Durham coming out shortly thereafter. He's the U.S. attorney, and he's already announced it's criminal. And we'll see what happens.
Mr. President,
I'll tell you what, you have a lot of very, very bad people. And, a lot of people say deep state. I don't like to use the word deep state.
He doesn't like to use it. Actually, he's talked about the deep state before, and he's a total deep state conspiracy
say
theorist.
they're really bad, sick people.
Mr. President, you say it could be historic. You have suggested in the past that this might go much higher than the Department of Justice.
That's right. It goes all the way up to Trump.
With the FBI during the Obama administration. Are you suggesting it could actually go up into the West Wing of the Obama
When you're
years?
dealing at the highest levels of government, they were spying on my campaign. This is
Untrue.
my opinion. I said it a long time ago.
They were spying on my campaign. That's my opinion. Okay. Either they were spying on his campaign or they weren't. And that's a conspiracy. But what does it mean that that's his opinion? All right, now let's skip forward to the key moment. There are basically two primary things that we're going to find here. And the exact time code, I think it's at about 5:50. Okay, so here's what you're going to hear. You are going to hear Donald Trump bring up this CrowdStrike server conspiracy theory for which there is no evidence. You're actually, good for him. You're actually going to see Steve Ducey say, "Are you sure about that?" Because even Steve Ducey, and Kilmeade will do his confused face, even they know that none of this stuff is true. And then Trump is going to link, he's publicly going to blurt out, he's going to link the money to Ukraine and the investigations into corruption, which we now know to be code for smearing Joe Biden. Okay, that's what we're going to see here.
It's very interesting. It's very interesting. They have the server, right, from the DNC, Democratic National Committee.
Who has the server?
Now, the FBI went in and they told him, "Get out of here. You're not getting. We're not giving it to you."
Watch
they
Ducey.
gave the server to CrowdStrike or whatever it's called, which is a company owned by a very wealthy Ukrainian. And I still want to see that server. The FBI's never gotten that server. That's a big part of this whole thing. Why did they give it to a Ukrainian company?
Are you sure they did that?
Even Steve Ducey says, I have to interject because, are you sure? And by the way, Ainsley Earhart's face still has not moved the entire time. And then this is where Trump now actually links the aid and the investigations, blurting out what everybody has been trying to deny from seven people or however many have testified now.
Yeah.
Are you sure they gave it to Ukraine?
Well, that's what the word is, and that's what I asked actually in my phone call, if you know.
Right.
I mean, I asked it very point blank because we're looking for corruption. There's tremendous corruption.
So He just says, in my phone call, I asked point blank about Biden, DNC, CrowdStrike, blah, 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 blah. Okay. And in the same breath, now he's going to talk about aid.
Why should we be giving hundreds of millions of dollars to countries when there's this kind of corruption?
The average Fox News viewer is not going to pick up on this. A lot of people are not going to pick up on this. This is Donald Trump. He was pushed. This is a friendly interviewer. This is Steve Doocy, right? He says, are you sure about that conspiracy theory? That alone gets Trump to blurt out, I've been asking them to look into this specific thing. And of course, we know when there's a power imbalance between the president of the United States and the brand new president of Ukraine, that's asking, right? You're going to do this. And he says, I asked them to do it. I mean, listen, why should we be giving them all the money that we give them? He's publicly linking for the first time the aid to the pushing them to do investigations. Let's just go back. Let's now just listen to the entire thing. I see people saying we should listen to the entire thing together. Let's just take one more listen. Listen to the evolution of this.
It's very interesting. It's very interesting. They have the server, right, from the DNC, Democratic National Committee.
Who has the server?
Now, the FBI went in and they told him, get out of here. You're not kidding. We're not giving it to you. They gave the server to CrowdStrike or whatever it's called, which is a company owned by a very wealthy Ukrainian. And I still want to see that server. You know, the FBI has never gotten that server. That's a big part of this whole thing. Why did they give it to a Ukrainian company?
Are you sure they did that? Are you sure they gave it to Ukraine?
Well, that's what the word is, and that's what I asked actually in my phone call, if you know.
Right.
I mean, I asked it very point blank because we're looking for corruption. There's tremendous corruption. We're looking for, why should we be giving hundreds of millions of dollars to countries when there's this kind of corruption?
Right.
And if you look at...
So there it is. That's what Devin Nunes spent hour after hour after hour denying. This is what they've all been denying all along. And there is Trump saying exactly what it is that is supposedly being denied. It's stunning. It's truly, truly stunning. Okay, so we did that. Next, I want to get to this. Well, before I do that, I have so many people to thank. And okay, let me do super chats first. If you're just joining, we are live on Twitch and YouTube. We've never done this before. And we have a contest going between YouTube and Twitch, which right now YouTube is winning 5-0, but we'll update that in a moment. QQ Minus asks via super chat on YouTube, does anybody remember Blagojevich? I do. A lot of people have definitely forgotten. John R. says Fox News cared more about facts than Trump in that interview. Yeah, in some weird sense, even these clowns had to say, do you know what you're talking about, sir? I don't know that what you're saying makes any sense. I believe that there are still free super chats available. If you are a YouTube premium member, I believe that through November 29th, you have free super chats. Click the $, and I believe that you can send those in. Over on Twitch, let me say thank you to Bodig for subscribing with Twitch Prime. Definitely Remain for subscribing with Twitch Prime. Nate Davis 174, Gyats, Jay Fiorino, Flip Switch, Voiceless V, Tubby's Clone 7, Monkish Gamer, and Pertsy. Thank you so much. All right, now let's update how the Twitch versus YouTube battle is going. It was very, very ugly. It was 5-0 when I last checked. Danielle Velez signed up with the YouTube 50 code, making it 6-0. Jeremy Mullen has signed up with the YouTube 50 code, making it 7-0. And Christian Garcia signed up with no coupon code. So it's 7-0, YouTube over Twitch. It's getting bad. But we do have 8 of 15 website members. And if we get to 7, we will open up the phone lines. And we actually might do that quite soon. It'll be great on a Sunday evening just to hear what's on people's minds, see what we should be covering during the week. But yes, it is. The codes are, so the website is joinpacman.com. There's the code YouTube50 for YouTube. And then there's the code half19 for Twitch. They both save you 40%. So there's no advantage. Everybody gets the same deal. But it's 8-0 YouTube right now, which is surprising, I must say. Okay, next thing I want to talk about. We've been talking about Donald Trump's health. Now, I want to make sure that I'm clear here. we've talked about Donald Trump's mental health and we've talked about Donald Trump's physical health. The mental health I'm not going to talk about today. That relates to cognitive decline. I'm not going to talk about it. So the point is, that's not what we're talking about today. Donald Trump's physical health has been a question mark for a long time. Back when he was running, we now know, forced his doctor, former doctor, Harold Bornstein, to write this absolutely ludicrous letter saying that Donald Trump would be the healthiest president to ever be president, which of course is a crazy thing for a doctor to say. If the doctor hasn't examined any other presidents, how is that something he could say about Trump? Additionally, Trump is clinically obese, doesn't exercise, and eats a terrible diet. The idea that he's even healthier than the previous president, never mind every other president, is laughable. So already very weird. Then we found out that Donald Trump was claiming to be 6'3". He's pictured next to Barack Obama, who I believe is only supposed to be 6'1", and Obama's taller. He's been pictured next to Tom Brady. Tom Brady towers over him, and I think Brady's supposed to be 6'2" or something like that. So Trump lies, and the reason he probably lied about his height is he wanted to be, I think he claimed to be 6'3", 239, which would be like just shy of clinically obese. And of course, if he's only 6 feet or 5'11", then, he's obese. So then we find out that last weekend, he gets taken to Walter Reed Hospital. The hospital didn't know he was going. We've now since learned that when they know Trump is going, they block off corridors, certain things are done. They didn't do it because they didn't know he was going. He was there for 2 hours. The White House claimed that he was getting a jump on his 2020 physical. They said, listen, what the hell? We're just hanging around this weekend. Let's go over to the hospital and just do 2 hours of tests to get ahead on the 2020 physical. Who would believe that? Doesn't make any sense. When Trump left, it was noted that, and I think I actually have the picture here just to be thorough. Yeah, I believe that this is Trump leaving with his doctor, Sean Conley, who rode with Trump on the way back from the hospital. Now, this is unusual because for security reasons, the doctor travels with Trump, but doesn't typically ride with Trump. But okay, he had just been at the hospital. If you believe that it was just for some tests, why would his doctor be riding with him? It doesn't really make sense, but fine. Trump arrives a few days ago in Austin, Texas. Donald Trump, you'll notice this doesn't look like the normal stairs that Trump comes down. Trump coming down a lower exit from Air Force One. And you will notice that right behind Trump is his doctor, who gets directly into Trump's vehicle. Whoa. Oh my goodness, that's loud. Okay. So Trump comes down. He waves very weirdly in a very strange way, but that's okay. He can wave however he wants. Comes down short steps, which we might guess, maybe they want to reduce the risk if he were to trip and fall. And you will see Secret Service guys here. And then is Melania. Ivanka. Is this Ivanka or Melania? Which one is it? Let's see. Which one is it? Okay, it's Ivanka. And then Sean Conley comes off as well. And then rides with Trump. This is not normal, right? I mean, this is not the way that the president normally travels, traveling with the doctor. So am I trying to make fun of Trump for being obese? Of course not. It's nothing to make fun of. But even when what the White House says makes sense, it's often a lie. When it doesn't make sense, it's definitely a lie. And I don't believe that at this point we have been told the truth about this visit. We don't know what's going on. Trump's doctor is now riding around in the car with him. I don't know what's going on. And, the White House has formally denied that he has chest pain. He had chest pain, or, there's the possibility of a panic attack or whatever. Something's going on. And I believe that it is just something that we should know. That's it. We should just know what it was. Okay. Let me answer a few more super chats here. Alvaro Cardosa says you're awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. Ravenna Denver sends a super chat. Thank you. I appreciate that. Jonah Ngakta says appreciate your work. And Robert Klobber says, don't you think the DNC should chop down to the debate stage? It's ridiculous and seems like the debates do nothing at this point. Yeah, so there's two things there. Let's actually look at the polling since you brought it up. There's two things going on. One is that there are too many people on the stage. The other thing is that the later in the game this gets, the less the debates do, in the sense that the longer we go, the candidates are known, their positions, widely speaking, are known. And unless there's a major gaffe or just like an embarrassingly bad kill shot that someone suffers, the polling is not going to move as much the further in that we get, especially as more and more people are decided. What could move it would be if instead of having, 10 people on the stage, we had 5 or something like that. That would definitely be better. Now, let me also pull up Debate Wiki. I want to see how things are going for qualification for the next debate, because that's another thing. Let's see, 6th debate qualification. So right now, we have Biden, Sanders, Warren, Buttigieg, Harris, and Klobuchar. I mean, listen, Klobuchar is polling, what is she polling? Klobuchar is polling 1.5%. It's like, it's time to go, Harris and Buttigieg, okay. And we may see Steyer, Yang, or Booker there. So Tulsi Gabbard may finally be gone, which will be good. That'll at least clear the debate, the stage slightly. But we may end up with 9 people still, and it's just too many. It's just too many people. Michael Leva says, thanks for making great content. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. All right, let me get over to Twitch and see what's going on with what people are saying. Kiko73 says, I tried signing up with Twitch. Is it showing that I have or no? I'm not seeing your name as having signed up, Kiko. I don't know what's going on. Let me say thank you to Fox McCloud for signing up on Twitch, Mysterious Wolverine, Bonjish, John Hamelink, Slab Hard Cheese, Nico Lavrin, and Gizmo Girl 85. Thank you. All right, let's now see how things are going with our YouTube versus Twitch battle. Right now, it is 8-0. YouTube is winning in terms of website memberships. This is not looking good. Joel Connell has signed up with the YouTube 50 coupon code. That makes it it's actually 7-0 YouTube. So that makes it 8-0 YouTube. And Patty Conrad has signed up, making it 9-0 YouTube. And we do have 10 of 15 website members. Geez, this is. I mean, listen. There are nearly 4,000 people watching over on YouTube and only 700 on Twitch. So that does make some sense. But Twitch is getting crushed right now. If we do get 5 more members, I will open the phone lines. It looks like, I see. Yeah, I was going to check out a couple of the voicemails that have been coming in. Sometimes people like to listen to that. We're just going through a lot of stuff that I've got on my computer. It's Sunday night and it's a short week, so we're not going to get to a lot of this stuff. The phone lines are not open. If we get 5 more members, then I will open them up. But let's see what's happening on the voicemail line just while we've been chatting here. Let's see. Let's take a listen and see what's on people's minds.
Hey, well, that kind of surprised me that I went to the voicemail. I'm just watching your live show here, I think, at the moment there.
Right. Like I said, the phone lines are not yet open. I don't just, hang out and pick up the phones all day. But we will open them maybe, but let's listen.
David. Interesting with Buttigieg. I think he might pull off a Obama-like takeover, I believe, in the future. But been fascinated. I was away this week in Mexico, fascinated with catching up in the week of testimony between Hill and the other fellow. I can't remember his name at the moment.
All right, well, checking in. Very good. Let's see who else is calling in.
Hi, this is Greg Hubert from Southern Illinois. I'm an old veteran. I think the impeachment and all this has gone on pretty far. That's like a traitor. That's like tyranny. That's like he's got to be removed. I think maybe public execution for being a traitor. And I spent 6 years in the Army during the Cold War and everything. I know that's pretty serious.
Right.
Have a great day. Thank you for your work.
All right, and thank you as well for calling in. Let's see. And again, the phone lines are not yet open, but we are considering opening them. And it looks like we're only... Jelani Fraser has just signed up with the Twitch code, okay? That is new member number 11. and it makes the advantage for YouTube over Twitch 9-1. But at least it's not going to be a shutout, which I think is good. Listen to a couple more voicemails here.
I just want to know if you're watching the same impeachment inquiries than I am, because I don't know. Y'all don't understand nothing. I was a Democrat. Now I'm a Republican because of the way the Democrats have acted and done to this country, taking money from Social Security and everything else. And y'all have been after President Trump ever since he became president, and I think it's a shame. It's pitiful.
Wow. Actually, that is another one of these so disconnected from reality Trumpists that I'm actually going to save that. I may use that tomorrow. We'll call that disconnected Trumpist. That may be one that makes the show because that is out there. Let's take a listen to a couple others.
Yeah, what are you guys going to do once the truth comes out and all your liberal lies and stuff are
Wow, we're hitting the jackpot tonight.
like made known? What are you guys going to do? Who are you guys going to root for when all the bad guys are locked up? When the Obamas and Clintons and Bushes, all the deep staters are locked up? What are you guys going to do then?
Oh, bunga.
Who's going to pay your bills? Who's going? You know what I'm saying?
Well, listen, actually, Trump being in power has been way better for my show than any of these people. So them getting locked up, I'll be fine, but the country is going to be screwed.
You guys better get on the right side of reality, guys. I'm telling you.
Wow. Okay, I'm going to save that one as well because it's so difficult to get good voicemails, and we actually have quite a few. So we'll call that guy the locked up people. Okay. All right, let's see. Oh, that same person left a second voicemail.
Here's a voicemail for you. Won't you liberal sons of bitches get on the train with Trump and let's make this country a better place and quit spreading lies and deception trying to tear down a good man.
Right. Yeah. So that he will never see reason. That's not someone who is ever going to, say, you know what? It actually does seem like maybe Trump has not been great for us. I don't know if people are liking these. Let me know if you want to hear a couple. These are real. Yeah, this is totally real. People don't understand. We get 100 of these a day. Let me say thank you to a couple of other people. Thanks to Reaper714 for subscribing with Twitch Prime. Hoagies KC. Kiko73, there you are, subscribed for 2 months with Twitch Prime. John Squareston, thank you as well. Over on the YouTube side, because we are streaming on both, thank you to, I guess that's it. Nobody else to thank. Robert Hopster has signed up, but not using either of the coupon codes. Aaron Lowe has signed up, not using either coupon code. Very good. All right. So YouTube still beating Twitch 9-1, but we have 13 of 15 website members. If these voicemails aren't firing people up to get the phone lines open, then I don't know what will. Let's listen to a couple others. And yeah, I'll open the phone line. I'm guessing 2 more people will sign up coming from somewhere. All right, let's take a listen to another.
Hi, David. Why do you think the Democrats are just trying to hang the president on one impeachment charge? Why aren't there like 30 or 40?
Right. This is actually a good question. Let me hear the rest of it.
It's so obvious. Thank you.
Yeah. So arguably it's a mistake, actually, not to bring impeachment hearings around emoluments. I think the Yemen fiasco is arguably impeachable, but I do understand that. I mean, listen, we've had 35 hours of testimony already, and it's still muddled, and I'm still getting calls from people who don't have even the slightest idea what it is that's going on. So I think that I understand why this is over one thing, but the thing is, if they don't get anything out of this, you can't then say, all right, well, now we'll bring impeachment over emoluments. It's not going to work. And I do think that in the end, you either have to get the PR benefit that knocks Trump out, or Democrats are going to get nothing from this, and it'll be one of the bigger political failures. Let's listen to another.
Yes, I would just like, do you think that it might cause racism if President Trump don't win re-election? Like, he's caused so many jobs for like black people, and it's an all-time high, and so many people's off food stamps, and so many of these guys are working now. Do you think that they might turn around and retaliate like the Democrats have retaliated against him, because then if Elizabeth Warren or one of them got in, they wouldn't have a job or any money. So what do you think on that? And two, how do you stop him? This guy is building walls. He's doing all this stuff, and I just wonder, how do you slow this guy down?
No, listen, Trump's presence is what has coalesced and catalyzed racism. I don't know that it's created it. I think it's always been there, but it's made the racism more comfortable being out in the open. But how do you stop him at this? I think it's just you vote him out. I don't know of any other. I don't know of any other way. Yes, everybody who's been calling in is allowed to vote, by the way. Alex W. sent a super chat. You skipped my last super chat. I asked about your live streaming frequency. Yeah, it's just random. Like today I'm doing a Sunday night stream because we've got a short week this week, and because of Thanksgiving, and I'll be out of town. Everybody's going to be out of town. So there's no set thing that we do. It's just, whatever sort of happens, and that's it. It's an exciting thing. Let's listen to one more. How about, this might be a local to me caller. Let's see.
Yes, hi. I wouldn't like to disclose my name until, But anyways, Trump has more blood on his hands, between Ukraine, Syria, the shooting in Texas, and, the synagogues, the rabbis and everything, which has certainly been fueled by hate. I feel insulted.
Yeah, you and me both, my friend. It's very, very bad. Okay, let's say thank you to a couple of other people. And I think we are going to open the phone lines. Amy Anderson signing up with code YouTube50. That makes the YouTube lead 10-1. Wow. Andrew Hollis signing up with no coupon code, but that is 15 members. And then Robert Nathan signing up with no coupon code. So we do have 16. We are going to open up the phone lines. Let me, in fact, do that right now. And people can call in. The number is 617-830-4750. Let me get myself connected, and then I'm going to read some super chats and do some Twitch thank yous. Whoa, sorry about that. Whoa, there we go. Everything getting a little crazy here. There we go. All right. 617-830-4750 is the number if folks want to call in. Thanks to NPOI for subscribing with Twitch Prime. Thanks for Fulkener, Navy Spurs, and Nikoi for subscribing with Twitch Prime. I very much appreciate that. Over on YouTube, T-Machine checking in with 50 Argentinian pesos. Argentina, of course, my birth country. I think at the current exchange rate, that's about a penny. No, it's like $1. It's bad, though. Not radical enough, but like the content. I live in Argentina. Do you still have any connection? I have cousins. I have uncles. I have great aunts and uncles. I have friends. Yes, I visit regularly. I have very much connection to Argentina. Okay. Let's see here. All right, I'm going to get connected, and then we will hear from some folks.
Thank you for calling into the David Pakman Show. Please do not use speakerphone. Have your question ready, and listen for David to call out your area code.
Sage advice. Let's see who. Oh, we've got a lot of folks that we know, and also a lot of folks we don't know. Let's see who's calling from the 941 area code. 941. What's going on today? Hello, 941. Hmm. 941, are you there?
Yep, I'm.
Oh, hey. Yeah, now we can hear you.
All right, sorry about that. So,
what's going on?
Yeah, I want your opinion on what happens if, and it looks like it is, Trump does get impeached by the House.
Right.
And what I mean by that is the Senate, of course, won't remove him. There's not going to be, there's going to be no Republicans that are going to cross over, in my opinion.
Basically agree with you.
How does that play up?
Oh, it sounds like I'm on some kind of speaker delay. That's weird.
Nope. How does that play up until the election? And what if, after the election, the Democrats take control of the Senate? Could it be that President Trump wins re-election and then immediately gets removed?
So you're saying Trump wins re-election, but Democrats take control of the Senate. Then there's impeachment, or there's an impeachment for something else, or it's delayed. A vote is delayed until then, and then Democrats, who then will control the Senate, actually remove him. Is that the idea?
Yeah, I mean, I imagine the House can vote right now. I mean, I can't imagine there's some expiration on the articles of impeachment.
Yes, I think that what you're bringing up is very interesting. The only thing is, I've pointed out it's an uphill battle for Democrats in the Senate in 2020. It's possible, but it's an uphill battle. They've got to get 5 tough races to go to their side and not really lose anything. And even then, you still need 2/3 in the Senate, as the very astute Twitch viewers are pointing out. So just taking control is not necessarily even enough. So it would be very, very difficult. Now, it is true that if Democrats take control, Republicans, maybe also ones not running for re-election, might be more willing to just do the right thing. But I mean, listen, it's what you're bringing. It's good that you're thinking about these scenarios, but it's still a pretty big uphill battle.
Yeah, no matter what, I think it's going to be funny when I think the House is going to impeach, and it will be funny when the election does come, and we're voting for what is an officially impeacched president.
That would be very interesting, and I think you're right. I do think that the House. I have a couple articles highlighted for tomorrow. Let me see if I don't have it in front of me, but it looks like they want to at least continue with more hearings. And I think there's a good chance the House votes to impeach. And of course, the Senate doesn't convict. And then honestly, maybe even Trump then wins re-election.
Yeah, that would be crazy.
All right. Thanks for the call. I appreciate it. Great to hear from you. Let me say thanks to Morgan, who sent a $50 super chat saying no need to read this, just saying thanks. Also, people asking, are there still free super chats? There are. If you are a YouTube Premium subscriber, I think this is YouTube's challenge to Twitch Prime with Amazon Prime. If you're a YouTube Premium subscriber, until November 29th, you have free super chats you can send. Click the $, I believe, is what you have to do. Also, let me say thanks to Michael Leva. Michael Leva has signed up with the coupon code YouTube50. It is a crushing, the YouTube code crushing the Twitch code. And I think we have to chalk it up and take the loss this evening for Twitch. Let's go next to our caller from the 401 area code, our friendly neighbors to the south in Rhode Island, potentially. Hello, 401. 401, are you there?
My question...
Oh,
yeah.
There you are.
Hello?
Yes.
This is Misha from Rhode Island. How are you?
Hey, good.
So I want to touch upon the recent reports surrounding Devin Nunes and how he met with Shokin in Vienna. So there have also been recent reports that Devin Nunes has claimed that he is going to file a lawsuit against CNN and I believe the Daily Beast for breaking out these reports.
Right.
Now, considering that he sued a fake cow, what do you think? Do you think he's just bluffing, or do you think he's actually serious with it? I
mean, listen, I think he may well file the lawsuit in the same way that, Tulsi Gabbard sued YouTube or something, or Google, I guess it was, or something like that. But, I don't think it's going to go anywhere. And, unfortunately, so you're right that the reports first came out about Nunes's involvement, which we talked about earlier in the stream. And then, of course, a bunch of people denied it. And then it turns out that he filed all sorts of taxpayer-paid expenses, $57,000 worth of flights and I think accommodations at the exact time that it's being alleged he was having these meetings. So the narrative that it's a lie is already falling apart, and I don't even know that it's going to make any sense for him to file any kind of lawsuit.
Sure. I mean, especially with the discovery process, and considering that the source is from Lev Parnas's lawyer, there's already a lot of credibility. So a discovery process would be damaging not only the
I said this earlier. I don't think that Lev Parnas Lev Parnas, for people who don't know or you missed the beginning of the stream, is the indicted Giuliani associate who now is claiming he can put Devin Nunes in Vienna meeting with Viktor Shokin, participating in the smear attempts of Biden. I don't think he would allege that unless he could prove that took place. So I would be shocked if he's making that up, quite frankly.
Sure. All right. Thank you for the high-level important ideas, David.
All right. Thank you. I hope that your brain won't be in recovery mode for too long, because we do have to get back to work tomorrow.
Gotcha. Have a good one.
Take care. Yep. Let's see. Let's go next to a lot of interesting area codes. Let's go to 212. Always good to hear from someone who I guess at some point had a New York City connection. 212. What's going on?
Is that me?
Yes, that's you.
Oh, okay. I got a question. That seems like
Your connection is
California-
abhorrent, though. That's the only thing. Is there anything we can do about the connection?
Oh, yeah. Is that better?
You know it is. I'm curious. What did you do?
I plugged in the headset.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
Yeah, there's an issue with the phone. But anyways, my question is, it seems like California and New York are pretty much wholesale funding the fight against homelessness, and the government isn't really stepping up to do anything against the fight for homelessness. I mean, what do you think they can do more in the realm of tackling the issue of homelessness?
we actually talked about this on our members only bonus show last week because California is taking some serious steps to try to fight homelessness. Yeah, I have been talking for a while that many of the homelessness related problems are a matter of just political will and distribution of resources. And we've seen really interesting tests. Like, for example, it was in a town in either Utah or Colorado, I don't remember exactly now, where they said, let's give the homeless population houses, or it might have been the homeless veteran population, some subsection, houses and healthcare. And the cost of that was less than the total societal costs of the homelessness and lack of medical care. So, if you had a federal government, by that I mean a president that actually cared about this stuff, a lot of these issues could be solved very quickly with federal funds going to states in proportion to the degree to which they have a homeless problem. And I mean, it's a relatively simple problem to solve. It is more complicated than, for example, like hunger. Hunger we could solve overnight if we decided we were going to do it. But the federal government
and a program
is not.
like food stamps benefits
Yes.
not only the people that need food, but it's essentially a subsidy for farmers and the middlemen in the distribution chain for food.
Extremely stimulative to the economy as well. Yeah. So, I mean, listen, there's a lot the federal government can do, but we've got to get a federal government run by someone who cares about that.
Right. And one more point, I noticed, because I was living in Ohio not too long ago, that no new housing projects were going up anywhere that I could see. And it is a conservative state, swing state, they say, but it's very conservative.
Yeah.
Recently moved to New York, and there's housing projects going up everywhere. If you look at New York's plan to fight homelessness, they're essentially funding the fight against homelessness by themselves. There's really no effort from federal government or the White House to address the issue.
Yep, it's disgusting, and it's similar things going on with climate, similar things going on with in so many different areas. Thanks for the call, appreciate it. Sounds like you're maybe at a hockey game or something, so I'm gonna let you go. Let me say thanks to a few other people. I want to say thank you to this is where Twitch is very different than YouTube. On YouTube, it's like I'm getting super chats from Kevin, I'm getting one from Nolan, I'm getting one from who else here? Okay, those are a few examples. On Twitch, I just had someone called I Spank My Monkey Every Night subscribe with Twitch Prime. So it's a very, very different scene over on Twitch. Also, thanks to Briggies for subscribing with Twitch Prime. Over on YouTube, Stephen Andrews says, with the holidays coming, how do we convince our Fox News loving family that we're not socialists and want free things because we want to vote Bernie? That's tough. I have a couple videos about how to have conversations that won't ruin relationships at Thanksgiving, so I won't do it here, but check out my videos on that. Let's see. Let me go to our caller from the 315 area code. Who's calling today from 315?
Hey, David, it's Nick from Syracuse.
Hey, Nick.
Hi, I'm just curious to get your thoughts on Giuliani threatening Trump with quote-unquote insurance. If Trump were to
I didn't
under
see
the
that.
bus.
What does that even mean? I don't even. Is that new?
Yeah, so he was on, I'm not sure what show it was recently, but somebody asked him, have you seen the reports that Trump may or may not throw you under the bus? And
I have so let me see. I found an
well, he
article
won't do
from
that,
7
I'm not
hours
sure.
ago. Let's see. Rudy Giuliani detailed his insurance policy that he has repeatedly mentioned when asked about Trump throwing him under the bus, essentially. Giuliani wrote on Twitter that it was a sarcastic term, but that he does have potentially compromising files he had in a safe concerning former Vice President Joe Biden and his son Hunter. What I don't understand is, if the documents are about Biden and Hunter, how is that anything that would prevent Trump from turning on him?
Yeah, I mean, it just brings me joy to see a wedge being driven between them.
Yeah, that is interesting. I'm going to look into that more and maybe talk about it on tomorrow's show. Thanks for pointing that out. I hadn't seen that. Here's the thing. Trump will turn, all these people basically will turn on whoever when it's their ass on the line, essentially. And it wouldn't be surprising to see Trump turn on Giuliani. It wouldn't be surprising to see Giuliani turn on Trump. I mean, I just wouldn't be surprised by any of it.
Yep, it's just rats jumping off a sinking ship at this point.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right.
Thanks for the call. Appreciate it. Yep. Thank you. We're taking calls at 617-830-4750. People wondering how long the queue is. It's about 25 people right now. I'm sort of skipping around a little bit using a very sophisticated algorithm. Let's go next to our caller from the 210 area code. 210, as people know, we have a number of trolls in the San Antonio area and a lot of good callers as well. So we'll go to 210 next. 210, are you there?
Yes. Hi.
Oh, hey.
This is,
What's going
Chris
on?
from San Antonio.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, man. Great to talk to you. I've watched like countless hours of your show and a lot of other progressive style shows on YouTube.
Thank you.
So I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you.
I wanted to throw out a question. In all the hours I've watched, I haven't really seen anyone talking much about like the meat, dairy, or egg industry, and I feel like that's kind of like a pretty big thing that progressives could really care about, just because it affects the environment and people's health, and it is like the biggest of big business. So I wasn't sure what your thoughts were about that.
Well, I think it's important to talk about in proportion. I believe that in terms of all emissions, animal agriculture is 11%. So it's not, it's mostly other stuff. I think it's about 11%. So I've said I think it does make sense to, it seems that what's better for the environment is also what's better health-wise, which is, the Mediterranean diet is one that seems to be widely, at least correlated with, if not causing, healthy, longevity and outcomes. So you reduce red meat, certainly, which I do. I only eat red meat probably, 5 times a year. You reduce poultry as well, but not as much as red meat. And you focus on, healthy fats, things from nuts, fish, etc. I think it's important, we want to be adjusted to the reality, which last I looked, I believe, again, animal agriculture is 11% of emissions. So, 89% is from other stuff, and it's of, industrial companies, transportation, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, I think it's something good to talk about, and we want to talk about it basically in proportion to the degree that it's responsible.
Right, and also, it relates to like the destruction of the Amazon and land usage, and just in general the trajectory that America's on and the whole planet in terms of eating more and more meat is pretty like unsustainable. So I just think it'd be good if if more people talked about it, and especially like at school. When I remember, like I'm 36 now, and when I was in 8th grade, our health teacher said, "Oh, milk is unhealthy." And everyone's like, "Oh, she's crazy." She actually got fired because she told people that. Mm-hmm. And now looking back, like that was completely true. And it just matters so much, what people learn growing up, things like that.
Yeah.
So I think that, that the government kind of has their hands in that too, in terms of what gets taught at public schools. So, I'd really
no question about that. And we've been talking about the school board issue is a big one in terms of what is and is not importantly taught in school.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to throw that out there, and I've kind of gone on a journey myself in the last couple of years where I've gotten into politics and also got into eating healthier and kind of relearning what nutrition is, and what people eat and how they should
Absolutely.
eat.
I think that's great, and it's good for everybody to take control of, their diets and all of that. And I really appreciate the call. I hope to hear from you again. Let me say thank you to Night Owl 102 for subscribing with Twitch Prime. Why Bother for subscribing with Twitch Prime as well. We are live on Twitch and YouTube right now. Really appreciate everybody who's just checking in for a random Sunday night stream. Terry James sent a super chat over on YouTube. If Trump was impeached in the House, not convicted in the Senate, would it still be an albatross on him for 2020? I really have no idea. I really don't know. You could see it two ways. You could see it as he is impeached in the House, not convicted in the Senate, and his followers are completely reinvigorated, and he crushes re-election. You could see it as people become furious that Republicans won't see reason and won't do the right thing, and Trump gets removed. I really don't know, and you could make an argument either way. I will keep taking more super chat questions. Oh, Jake Luna says, do you think the large debate fields might be on purpose to obfuscate the opinions of less establishment candidates since they already have notability? I don't think it's that calculated, actually. I think it's much more complex, and this graphic that's on screen now, we discussed earlier, and we'll be talking about this on tomorrow's program as well. But I think there's quite a bit to it. Okay. Let's go to our next caller from let's try 312. Where is 312 Chicago area? Do I remember that correctly?
Yeah, this is the Chicago area.
Hey, how are you?
Hey, I had a question about what do you think about Bloomberg running? I think that's going to help Bernie.
How so?
By taking support from Biden and maybe Warren.
That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I didn't consider that. The question is going to be, let's see if we can pull it up. Can Bloomberg even get himself into debates? Number one, Bloomberg. Yeah, I mean, so far we just have nothing. He just announced.
I think he's spending like $30 million on advertising this upcoming week.
If he can get himself into debates, then maybe he will start to have an impact. I just don't see how he has any impact if he doesn't get into the debates. So I'm going to reserve judgment about that. I think that it may help Bernie in that Bernie's kind of anti-billionaires running the country narrative may become front and center with Bloomberg running. And he can say, is this country really about a billionaire Republican and a billionaire Democrat running against each other? These are the two people that we're choosing between. So I think that could be an interesting thing for Bernie, but I have to think about it a little more. A lot of people in the Twitch chat are saying there is no chance Bloomberg gets into the debates. Over on the YouTube chat, a lot of people are saying the exact same thing. So yeah, I mean, it just may be a non-factor in the end.
Well, I just really think it would help with the polling numbers, but by lowering Biden's points by at least just 3 or 4%. I think that would really
that could make a difference. That could be the difference. I mean, right now that would help Warren more than Bernie, as long as it doesn't hurt her. But we'll follow it and we'll see. I'll tell you how the polls move for sure.
All right. Thanks.
Okay, great. Thank you. Let me say thanks to a new website member, Darlene Johnson. That is new member number 18 of the evening. Thanks, Darlene. I really appreciate that. Thank you to... Oh, I've got a couple other super chats to read. Shannon Bennis wants to know what's my personal opinion of Buttigieg. I'm sure he's a very nice guy personally. I have no problem with him personally. Gwai Edenshaw says 9% is the total agricultural emissions in the U.S. Okay, yeah, so my 11% number maybe was worldwide, or maybe I was just wrong. Thank you to Totaram for the 3rd month in a row subscription with Twitch Prime. Totaram asks, what did Trump admit? Trump admitted, let's just play it again, just because it's been a while and we talked about this before. I will play for you just 45 seconds of video here, during which Trump admits he talked to Ukraine about this CrowdStrike server DNC Dems Biden thing. And then he says, and why wouldn't we hold money back from them? Basically linking the investigation into, quote, corruption and the money for the first time. He doesn't even realize he does it. Take a look.
A lot of it had to do, they say, with Ukraine.
But Mr. President,
it's very interesting. It's very interesting. They have the server, right, from the DNC, Democratic National Committee.
Who has the server?
Now, the FBI went in and they told him, get out of here. You're not kidding. We're not giving it to you. They gave the server to CrowdStrike or whatever it's called, which is a company owned by a very wealthy Ukrainian. And I still want to see that server. You know, the FBI has never gotten that server. That's a big part of this whole thing. Why did they give it to a Ukrainian company?
Are you sure they did that?
Yeah.
Are you sure they gave it to Ukraine?
Well, that's what the word is, and that's
Yeah,
what
whatever.
I asked actually in my phone call, if you know.
Right.
I mean, I asked it very point blank because we're looking for corruption. There's tremendous corruption. We're looking for, why should we be giving hundreds of millions of dollars to countries when there's this kind of corruption?
There he is. So he's doing it once again, or he's doing it. He says, yes, I was very clear. I asked them to do this, and why would we give them money if they're not looking into the corruption as he sees it? There it is, right? There it is. Stephanie Coulter is asking me over on YouTube Super Chat, what do I think about Deval Patrick entering the race? He's listed here. Listen, I personally like Deval Patrick, and he is, of the presidential candidates, he's the one I know the best. I mean, I interviewed him a couple times when he was governor here in Massachusetts and spent a little time with him behind the scenes. I've interviewed Andrew Yang three times, but I don't really know him on any kind of personal level. I really like Deval Patrick personally, but you know, he works at Bain Capital. He was a lawyer for Coca-Cola. He's not, you know, he presided over some pretty good progressive changes here in Massachusetts, but he's not a progressive in the way that Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren is. And I don't think he has any chance whatsoever. So I think it'll be it'll be moot in the end. Thanks to ASWG29 for the Twitch Prime subscription. And also thanks to Nick Field for signing up at joinpacman.com, new member number 19 of the evening. Let's take a few more phone calls. Let's go to, let's go to 603. 603 is New Hampshire, which is an interesting state. You know, live free or die and all that stuff. You have a lot of conservatives. You have a lot of liberals in New Hampshire. What's going on in New Hampshire?
Oh, I don't actually live in New Hampshire, but
oh dear.
I'm just using the phone number.
Good. All right. Well,
but I've lived there for 5 years, and it's a great place.
Well, it's acceptable.
So my
then.
question is more. My question is about sort of about the climate change conversation, and I just the aspects of how the world has borders and where that like so many people are going to have to move away from places that they lived for years.
Yes.
And they're going to be refugees, and I'm not sure our whole reasoning behind borders will help us in the long term.
Well, I've said before that, you know, there's all these conversations about nationalism and who cares what other countries say, think, do. We're doing it all for ourselves and whatever. Climate change does not respect country borders, which of course are just imaginary lines on a map. Sometimes there are real fences, sure, but they're essentially imaginary lines. And so whatever you think about, you know, there's people with the one world government conspiracy theories and all of this nonsense. Climate change has to be dealt with globally. It has to be a global solution. Does that mean it is globalist or globalished in the way Alex Jones says or whatever? No, it's just like, as you're pointing out, this is an issue that can't be dealt with by an individual country. And that's what makes it so depressing that Donald Trump has essentially done nothing and actually made the issue even worse.
Yeah. Oh, and then a funny New Hampshire story. So over the past years we've been going up to New Hampshire, there's always been this Confederate flag just hanging out. And I've always been like, there's a Confederate flag there, and no one has seen it. And every time we go past, I see it. And just in the past year, it went down, and now it's an American flag. So I always find that fascinating.
Okay, that is interesting. Yeah, that is something. But all right, well, keep up the good work. Thank you very much. Good to hear from you. Yeah, thank you. I do have a question here that I want to address over on Twitch from a gentleman named Turkey, Bacon, and Cheese. And for people on the YouTube side, this is the top contributor ever on my Twitch channel of what are called bits, which is a whole other world that's going on over there. Turkey, Bacon, and Cheese has contributed 28,000 bits and has a question. What do you think it is about your community that seems to attract such a constant stream of militant radical brigades, whether regarding Bolivia, anti-natalism, anti-capitalism, Bernie or bust? I don't know that, listen, okay, fair question. I don't know that it's unique to my community. But there is no question that when a sliver of the left, we have like a steady flow of right-wingers that show up and troll and do stuff. When someone from the left disagrees with me, and it actually is like a slight of particular movement on the left, we do get an influx of people that are not they're not like our existing audience. News starts to spread that I'm off message. And then people come in and they try to take over, like the YouTube comments or the subreddit or whatever. I don't know what it is, but what I can tell you is I know it's not my core audience for two reasons. One, if it were my core audience, people would be canceling memberships. Whenever we've had these things where we get brigaded, no one cancels memberships because no one who's angry is part of my existing audience that supports me already. And so we just kind of like let it happen. I mean, usually, here's another interesting thing, Turkey. By the time it's happening, I've usually done like 30 more stories and I'm on to something else. So I actually end up not even noticing it that much, which is an interesting thing. But in any case, it is what it is. Let me say thanks to William Lowry. William Lowry is sending a super chat on YouTube to say, I'm actually from Twitch. Twitch gang rise up. War on the YouTube boomers. So very, very aggressive messaging there. Primal says, I just saw Matt Gaetz on CNN advocating for the removal of cannabis from the federal prohibited substance list and expungement of prior convictions. He said of Kellyanne Conway, okay, boomer. I don't know if that's true, but it sounds very, very funny. And I also want to thank Troy Baker for signing up at joinpacman.com. Let's see. We'll take a couple more. I do have to go to bed. I go to bed pretty early on Sundays because Monday is like a crazy, crazy day. Let's go to Sam from the 202 area code. It's been a few months since we heard from... Actually, it's been 2 months to the day. Sam, how are you?
Hi, David. I'm doing good, thank you. I just have an economic idea that I've kind of put together myself, that I've constructed a set of statistics around. It's kind of what I guess you would call like a liberal Republican, yes, that used to be a thing idea, and it's kind of an extrapolation of what Andrew Yang does. Basically, a universal basic income where everyone gets $1,000, but if you go over under $25,000, or if you're older than 60, the number of free money you get from the government goes up exponentially. And this would replace welfare and food stamps. And
hold on a second. Hold on. Whoa. Hold on a second. Whoa. It goes up exponentially? Like to how high?
Yeah, like if you're poor, like basically if you're really, really poor, you get enough you get a lot. If
how much do you get?
You're homeless, basically. You probably get the equivalent of a house. Like you get enough to buy a house and all the things you would need to live. But the idea here.
Hold on a second, but let's go through it. Let's go. I want to make sure we're thinking it through. So, if you're most people get the $1,000 a month, but
everyone.
if you live in New York, well, everyone gets at least $1,000. If you live in New York City and you make under 25,000, you get $500,000 to buy a house.
If that number goes up higher and higher, like if you're at $19,000, you get enough to buy like basic utensils. But the idea here behind free money, instead of substances, is because a lot of people are poor for different reasons, often that have nothing that food stamps can't fix. Like, what if you're in debt to a landlord, or what if you have 2 children, a disabled child to take care of, and you're a single mom, or what if you have student debt? There are a lot of reasons why people could be poor, and if you give people money, then they'll have money to fix those problems that pertain.
Yes, no, money you can use to pay for things and solve things. But hold on. So if you make $25,000 a year, you get $1,000 a month. If you make $19,000 a year, how much money do you get?
Just put that exponentially. Like keep going. Like $20,000, $19,000, 18, etc. It just goes up and up and up.
Do you know what exponential means?
Yeah, I do. It's when you multiply something and then you multiply something again. You multiply the same thing by itself repeatedly. Like 3 squared is 9, 10 squared is 100. I could go on.
All right. I'm not going to ask you to go on because I think we may have a slightly different opinion. Let me call it an opinion as to what exponential means. But listen, Sam, it's always so good to hear from you, and I'm glad to hear you're doing well.
Oh, by the way, yeah, I'm just tired too, by the way.
Okay. All right.
If you have to cast a movie for Trump, John Bolton should be Peter Dinklage.
I like that. I like that. And people have asked me who would play me in the movie, and I've said it should probably be Joseph Gordon-Levitt, or the guy who plays Mr. Shu on Glee would be fine. And then Kirk Cameron, maybe looks-wise, would work, other than, he's a complete lunatic religious nut. So that's a problem. Oh, and Jake Gyllenhaal, yeah. That's the other one. Jake Gyllenhaal is the one that actually might be the best.
Oh, and here's an idea. If it's Pence, the younger Ronald Reagan. That would be cool.
Okay.
But
all right. That one I'm less sure of, but yeah. Okay, Sam, very good. Well, we're going to hear from you again soon, I trust. Let me say thank you to Stephen Lenner. Stephen Lenner has signed up at joinpacman.com and is new member 21 of the evening. I will on Twitch say thank you to Bobby Ivan for subscribing with Twitch Prime, Young Ghoul for subscribing with Twitch Prime, Ear Dowel, that sounds painful, for subscribing with Twitch Prime, Robert51 as well. Over on YouTube, Addy asks me, do I share most politics with Richard Wolff? Well, he's a socialist and I'm not, so that's a pretty big matzo ball hanging out there, right, between the two of us. Name Withheld says, David, I have a question on immigration. Why do we even need a wall? Couldn't we just fine companies for hiring immigrants illegally, or fine landlords for not declaring income from illegal immigrants? Is it an ethics thing? I have said many times, these are two separate issues, but I've said many times, if you really want to take the issue seriously, go after those who are most benefiting from the status quo of undocumented immigrants that we have, and that is companies who are almost never held accountable. Stephanie Coulter asks, what do you think about the Bernie blackout? I have addressed that, Stephanie, so I don't want to go into it again now. But I am going to continue covering that on the broadcast show. Let's pick up on our caller from, let's see. Why don't we go to the 336 area code, who's been holding on for nearly 40 minutes. 336, what's on your mind today?
Hi, David. Is that me?
Hey. Yes, that is.
Okay, so I'm Joel from Washington, and I understand there's a two-party system in the United States that's pretty ingrained in our history.
Yes.
But I can't help but feel a lot of the Americans, specifically the moderates, will reluctantly vote for one side, usually citing the lesser of the two evils argument. And I feel like it's a problem that I'm just not satisfied for when I'm voting. And, I just have one side that I don't really appreciate, like certain things they have, but I think certain things might be a good idea. And I just don't feel like the two-party system encapsulates everything that I
well, let's take it. There's a lot there, so let's just deal with that a little bit. So, there's the lesser of two evils, but it's also often by voting third party, you're actually helping the candidate who is most different from your views to win. So, what we would want to look at there is something like single transferable vote, for example, or a variety of different systems. That's number one. Number two. Are you thinking that, like, are you saying you're sort of neutral between left and right? Like there's some things you like about the left and some things you like about the right?
I would say I lean more left on my politics generally, but there's not every single thing I would agree on. And I feel like a two-party system doesn't really do that for me.
No, I totally agree with you, but it's not like you're sort of in the middle where you agree with enough of each side where it's a tough thing for you to decide who to vote for, right? It sounds like you still know who to vote for. Yeah. Good. Well, listen, I mean, I agree with you with the problem of the two-party system for sure, but I sometimes am concerned when people say, the left and right, they both have some ideas I like and some I dislike, and it's hard for me to know who to vote for. Because for most people, the things you would like about one side are often much outweighed by the things that disgust you about that side.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't even say I like a lot of things on the right. There's some things I'm not too fond of on the left either.
Right. All right, that's fair.
But it's not like the right has a better view.
What don't you like on the left? What don't you like on the left?
Well, I don't exactly agree with everything to do with abortion. I think it should be like only a first trimester thing.
Okay.
But that's just my opinion, and I know people would disagree, and that's fine.
And what about cases of where the life of the mother is at risk?
Yeah, I would say that's fine then. Like,
okay.
There's things I'm pretty open to evolving on different issues. I just, there's not, I agree with flexibility on.
Right. Do you think you might feel differently about the abortion issue if you were the type of person, by that I mean a woman, that might ever need an abortion?
Probably.
You would. Okay. Interesting. Interesting. Well, that might make me reconsider my opinion if I had that sort of awareness. Okay. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the call.
All right. Thanks.
All right. Very good. Let me say thank you to. Let me address something. There are people over on Twitch saying that it's unfair that the YouTube code says YouTube in it and the Twitch code doesn't. That's fair. That's fair. I didn't know we were going to do this YouTube versus Twitch thing. So if we ever do this again, I will have a code that is a Twitch code. There are people on Twitch saying that they are furious because the code doesn't say Twitch in it, and therefore it is in some way pejorative and rigged and fake. So I'll deal with that. Let's see here. Let's go to the 301 area code. Who's calling from 301?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hey, David. This is Derek from the great state of Maryland. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Quite in a predicament, and I would like to get your opinion about something.
Okay.
Okay, so a little bit about me. I am 24 years old, and I am in a relationship. And I recently found out that my girlfriend is a part of a Facebook pro-Trump group, and I'm not really sure what to do, and it's just been really bugging me out. So I'm just wondering, like, if you were in that position, what would you do?
If I was in your position. Now, let me ask you this. Is this the first time you became aware that she's pro-Trump?
Became aware of it, and before, whenever I tried bringing up politics with her, she would just sort of brush off, so I had no idea what her politics were.
How long have you been dating?
A year.
Hold on, you've been dating someone for a year, and you the topic of what her politics are have never been broached?
I tried to bring it up, and she would just ignore it or brush it off, so I never really knew what she thought of the issues.
Didn't that strike you as?
So I just took her for a word.
Oh, okay. So hold on. She said she was apolitical, or she wouldn't answer.
The combination of both. In certain instances, she would just sort of just not answer at all. She would just brush it off. But other times, when I tried asking her about it, she would just say she's not really interested.
And how old is she?
She is 23.
And how did you meet?
Online dating.
Okay. And you're not a Trump supporter, I take it?
No.
You're not. You know, I'm struggling with how could you date someone for a year and not know their politics? Because very often it comes out in other ways, even if she's not answering overtly political questions. You know, if you walk by a homeless person, for example, oftentimes, particularly in a relationship that's been going on for a year, there would be some comment made that would either be an empathetic comment, which would imply it's someone on the left, or it would be like a, why can't these people just get a job, which would suggest that they're on the right. I'm having a little bit of a hard time wondering what you've been doing for the year that you didn't figure out what her politics are. And then how did you find out she's in a pro-Trump group on Facebook?
He left her phone, and I just got curious, and I decided to scroll through, and I discovered the group, and she was a part of it.
And have you met her family?
Her family, she has actually been trying to avoid that from happening. So now that I'm looking back at it, I think I should have noticed all those red flags.
I think you're right.
Maybe why she did not want me to meet them.
I think that my simple probing questions have had the effect of getting you to the answers that you're looking for.
It's been pretty crazy, man.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Anything else today?
Well, thank you, David.
All right, very good. Okay, thank you for the call. All right, listen, please, someone on Twitch, please clip that, and please clip the abortion phone call with the previous person. Okay, I want to upload those separately. Please clip it, and somehow, if someone can get it to me or whatever. All right, I got to go to bed. I'm not kidding about that. We've got a huge day this week, a huge week this day, something like that. Appreciate everybody who called in, signed up, all of that very cool stuff. I think that the first Twitch YouTube simul stream was very, very successful. I will have a Twitch coupon code ready for next time. And thank you to all. New show tomorrow, all of that stuff. But somebody please clip those last two calls. And I look forward to uploading them directly.